Good morning, sixth graders. Here is what we're covering on lesson 92 on page 443, which is expanded notation with exponents, order of operation with exponents, and powers of fractions. So basically what I've done is I've taken the bottom part of 443 and I wrote it across here. We're going to go over to 444 real fast here. And what they're talking about in expanded notation. Before we did it like this in just traditional standard notation. But now what we're doing is we're using expanded notation, we're using exponents, which means now they're converting. So if you take a look, we have 365, which means we're going to go 3 times 10, which is the same as saying 10 times 10, because there's two tens. So 10 times 10 is 100, so 3 times 100, which is what we just wrote. So this is the same as saying 10 to the second. 6 times 1, we have 110. So that means we have the 6 times 10, which equals 60, which is the same as saying 6 times 10 to the first. And then last but not least, 5 times 10 to the 0 is the same as saying 10, but by the way, I should say 10 to 0 always equals 1. There's 0 tens because we're just dealing with 5 times 1. So a little bridge there they're trying to make with it. And so here's what we're going to do. We have, notice that 10 to 0 equals 1. The table below shows you the number place values with the powers of 10. So that means I need no 10s here, because 10 to 0 is 1. I need 1 10, I need 2 10s, I need 3 10s, 4, all the way up to 14 10s. So instead of sitting there writing out how many I need, going forever, they use exponents to assist that, to make it a little easier. So for example, if I have this number, right here, if I say 32,000, all right, put it in, and we want to write that in expanded notation. All right, so to make 30,000, all right, so I've got to look at, when I look at my 30,000 in that whole process of everything, I know I've got to go 3 times 10 to the fourth, because I need 4 10s, because if you take a look, I have 0 10s here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I need this many zeros to make my 30,000. So therefore, it's 3 times 10 to the fourth. All right, plus, and then 2,000 I need. For the 2,000, how many tens do I need? Well, here's the thousands. So I need a total of 3 tens for the thousand. So I have 2 times 10 to the third, which is my final answer for 32,000. So it is expanded. And that's kind of what they're going to carry you on with the examples here. So the speed of light is about 186,000 miles per second. Write 186,000 in expanded notation using exponents. All right, so if you notice what they have, they counted up 1. And then how many place zeros did they need? Or how many tens they need? They need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 to the fifth. Go to the 8. They had 8. How many tens they need to make 80,000? 1, 2, 3, 4. 10 to the fourth. How many did they need for 6? Well, they needed 3 because there's 1, 2, 3. 6 times 10 to the third. So again, it follows the pattern of finding the number and then counting the number of tens that you need to make that number. Okay? So again, and if you have trouble with that, I'll help you because it can be confusing. Definitely can be confused with exponents. So if I take one, let's just take a look at one here similar to that. And I'll put it over here. Let's go 220,000. Not millions, 220,000. All right, now we have 220,000. So take a look at the same pattern here, 186,000. I changed numbers, is all I did. All right, so I count up, I put my 2 down, and then I count after, like we did here, how many place values. Here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here, the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's times 10 to the fifth. Next one, plus 2 times 10 to the fourth, because there's 4 afterwards. So again, we're just trying to make sure that we got a grip and kind of have an idea of how we're putting this together. And I don't need to put anything for the zeros because 0 is 0. 0 is nothing. So again, I hope that helps you. Now let's go ahead and look down at the order of operation. And I'll clean the board up here, the paper up a little bit. In the order of operations, we simplify expressions with exponents or square roots. All right, before we multiply or divide. So, if you notify, parentheses still comes first. Simplify with parentheses. Now, between parentheses and multiply and divide, we tie in powers of or roots. This means exponents. So this is the exponent. And then square roots is what they're referring to when they're talking about those two. So square roots refresh your memory. So if I say the square root of 49, which equals 7. So that's simplifying that down. All right, so let's kind of move this up a little bit. And this is kind of a nifty little way, and it's helped kids to remember. We have students remember the order of operation with a memory aid. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So please, P for parentheses, E for exponents and roots, my dear, which is multiply and divide from left to right, and Aunt Sally, add and subtract from left to right. That's where that comes into. All right, keeping moving. Example number 2. Let's just take a look at that one together. So I'm going to do some little steps here with that. But again, you got to keep it straight, because if you don't keep it straight, you're going to get the wrong answer. All right, so the first step is parentheses. So we look for parentheses work immediately. All right, we do have parentheses. So they started off, they did it first because they rewrote it. And this is what's got to be done in the work column. You can't scratch it out. You can't do it in your head. Sorry, no, I don't want it done in your head. You need to write it out. All right, so 5 plus 3 to the second times 2. That continued. Subtract 8 plus 8, which is parentheses, 16, divided by square root of 16. All right, now we've done the parentheses work. There's the P1 done. Now, we're going to exponents, and we're going to square roots if we need to. So take a look. Do we have exponents? Yes, we do. So here's the next step right here. We have 3 squared, which is 9. We have square root, which is 16, which is 4. Because 4 times 4 equals 16. All right, so this is this is exponents slash square root. Was that step? All right, now we're ready to go to the next one, which basically means we're ready to multiply and divide from left to right. Do we have any multiplication? Yes, we do. All right, we have some multiplication. So we have 5 plus 9 times 2 to subtract 16 divided by 4. So, and remember, I showed some of you this trick and it helps. To make, if you wanted to put a little bit of a parentheses in so you're knowing you're doing that, you can do that. Because it just draws your attention to it, but you don't have to. 9 times 2, 18. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So I have my final one at multiply and divide. Multiply slash divide, left to right. And then the last part, add and subtract. 5 plus 8 is 23. 23 minus 4 is 19, my final answer. So again, you're using the steps of what we said earlier. We have the parentheses up here too, which is above that one, of the exponents. But again, follow the order of operation. And again, if you're having difficulty with that, as you're looking at that, give me a call. I'll gladly help you with that on your lesson. And I know, because I know it can get confusing a little bit. All right, now, clean that. Let's move on to the next one. Powers of fractions. Sliding up. Okay. Powers, we may use exponents with fractions, And with decimals, we use parentheses to include the whole fraction and not just the numerator. So that means basically when you see the parentheses with an exponent outside, that tells me how many 1/2s I have. 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. All right? In decimal terms, when we have 0.1 to the second, that means we have 2 of those that's in the parentheses. All right? So the parentheses in this case determine. So this means 2/3, which equals 2/3 times 2/3. Which again, when I finish it all out, the math, which equals 4/9. This one here equals 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, 1/8. When I multiply decimals, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 decimal places, so my answer is 0.01. So again, you've got to keep track of what it means, parentheses, and then the exponent outside. All right, now, that's kind of a rough shell of things. When we are setting this all up, let's go ahead and let me turn the page here. All right. If you have questions on any part, actually I do want to do one little detail I just caught in there, and that is one like letter F. Letter F. I'm going to do letter F real fast here on the board because it's a little different, not too much. I have 1 and 1/2 squared, which is squared overall. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, we're multiplying. So that means I want to change this to an improper fraction first. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 3 over 2, and I'm going to bring my parentheses right down. Now I'm set to do it. 3 over 2 times 3 over 2, which equals 9 over 4, which equals, I'll bring the answer down, 4 into 9 goes twice. And I subtract 4 times, because 4 times 2 is 8. And then subtract from the 9, which gives us our 2 1/4. Okay, so that is what it, and so I kind of wanted to walk through that a little bit because they do a mixed fraction with that. They could also do this type of a problem. 3 subtract 2 to the second and an exponent there. So I got to do parentheses work based on order of operation. So that means, then I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to make this an 8, say, example, just so it doesn't add another step in there. So we have 8, subtract exponents first, 2 to the second, which equals 2 times 2, which is 4. And my parentheses with square, do my math, 8 subtract 4 is 4 to the second. So now I have 4 times 4, which equals 16. So again, they're going to throw different things at you, but the key part is the 2 outside the parentheses means how many of those I have. Inside the parentheses, you still follow the order of operation, making sure you're doing the work inside first. So again, if you have questions, feel free to call. I know this is getting a little more difficult, and I miss you in the classroom big time because I miss our whiteboard reviews. But we can still do it at home. If you have a whiteboard when you call me, have it on hand so we can work it together. And then we can walk through that. So anyway, hope things go well for you. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.